Demarcus Cousins, a once dominant big man who is seen by many as the best center in the league, who just 5 years ago was averaging 25 points, 13 rebounds, as well as almost 2 blocks a game, is now seemingly out of the NBA and fighting for a spot on a team. In this video, I want to take a look at the 32-year-old center and find out exactly what happened to Demarcus Cousins. How's everybody doing? My name is Gray Hoops, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Before entering the NBA, Demarcus Cousins would play one season at the University of Kentucky, averaging a promising 15 points and 10 rebounds and almost 2 blocks a game. During the NCAA tournament, Demarcus Cousins and teammate John Wall would lead the team to a spot in the Elite Eight. Sadly, that's as far as they would make it though, getting beat by West Virginia. After this successful season at Kentucky, Demarcus Cousins was seen as a consensus top 5 pick going into the draft. A physical mismatch in almost every sense, one scout said. Demarcus Cousins seemingly had all the tools to be the next NBA great, however there was one thing holding him back that scouts seemed to notice as well. Cousins' lack of maturity and mental focus is evident in his negative body language and lack of composure, stated one scout. He already tends to react very poorly to different situations on the floor and lose his temper in concerning fashion, said another. One thing is for certain, everybody questioned Boogie's maturity and attitude on the court. Despite this glaring flaw, Demarcus Cousins would still find himself going number 5 overall to the Sacramento Kings in the 2010 NBA draft. Cousins would find a role immediately on the team, playing 29 minutes per game and starting in 62 out of 81 games he played his rookie year. His rookie year went well with him averaging 14 points and 10 rebounds and 2.7 assists, good enough for a spot on the all-rookie first team, along with former Kentucky teammate John Wall. This was a good start to Cousins' career, however his maturity and attitude were already in question as Cousins would rack up 15 technical fouls through the season, good enough for 8th most in the league already, one shy of being suspended for a game. During his sophomore season, everything seemed to be going fine until January 1st, 2012. Demarcus Cousins was averaging 13 points and almost 12 rebounds a game at the time, but would end up being sent home by head coach Paul Westphal, stating that Cousins was unwilling/unable to embrace traveling in the same direction as his team. It cannot be ignored indefinitely. It would be reported that Cousins demanded a trade from the Kings shortly after this. However, later he would deny this. Less than 1 week later, Paul Westphal would be fired from the Kings, with people speculating that Demarcus Cousins' relationship with the coach played a large factor. The rest of his sophomore season went well, as he would finish the rest of the season with averages of 18 points and 11 rebounds, as well as 1.5 steals and blocks, seemingly becoming one of the best young up-and-coming centers in the league at the time. During the next season, Demarcus Cousins would replicate similar play. He would post averages of 17 points and 10 rebounds, however his attitude and maturity would heavily come into play this season. On November 11th, 2012, Demarcus Cousins would be suspended 2 games after confronting Spurs commentator Sean Elliott. Some criticized the suspension as overly harsh and based more on Cousins' past reputation than what had actually happened, while others said that he needed to grow up and learn a lesson about confronting the media. Cousins would apologize and things died down for about a month until December 22nd, 2012. Demarcus Cousins would be suspended indefinitely from the Kings, who accused him of unprofessional behavior and conduct detrimental to the team. The suspension would be lifted just 2 days later. The season was up and down for Cousins, as he was posting career highs in player efficiency, field goal percentages, and free throw percentage. However, he also led the league in technical fouls and was ejected several times throughout the season. Despite another solid season by Demarcus Cousins, the Sacramento Kings would still only finish with a 28-54 record and miss the playoffs once again. Going into the 2014 season, Demarcus Cousins was now able to sign a contract extension, and that's exactly what he did. Demarcus Cousins would sign a 4-year, $62 million contract with the Kings, locking him in through the 17-18 season. This would immediately pay off, as Demarcus Cousins would put up career highs in every stat this year, nearly averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.3 blocks on career-high shooting splits. Cousins would miss out on the All-Star game this year, even though he was playing at an All-Star level. His attitude in being able to stay on the floor was still a glaring issue in his game though, as he would lead the league once again in technical fouls and was 3rd in the NBA in fouls per game with almost 4 games. Cousins had finally made a name for himself and was seen by many as an all-star level center who just needed an attitude adjustment to really have everything click. Despite this play, it still hadn't translated into wins, as the Sacramento Kings would finish with the same 28-54 record, the same as the year prior. The 2015 season was absolutely Demarcus Cousins' breakout year. He would go on to average 24 points, nearly 13 rebounds, as well as 1.5 steals and 1.7 blocks. he would find himself a spot on the Western Conference All-Star team, and this would be the first time a Sacramento Kings player has made the All-Star game in nearly 11 years. As well as making the All-Star team, Demarcus Cousins would also earn a spot on the All-NBA second team, with many people now considering him the best center in the NBA. However, Demarcus would only play 59 games this season, by far the lowest number of games he's played in a season up to this point in his career. This didn't come with too much concern though, as at most he would only miss 10 consecutive games due to meningitis. Even only playing 59 games, Demarcus Cousins would once again find himself with 15 technical fouls, tied for second most in the league, or about one every 4 games. Despite his best efforts, the Sacramento Kings would once again find themselves with only 29 wins in 5 straight seasons where Demarcus Cousins has now missed the playoffs. The 2016 NBA season went even better for Demarcus Cousins, who was now averaging 27 points and 11.5 rebounds a game. He even posted a 56-point, 12-rebound game against the Charlotte Hornets, a new career high for Cousins, who was only 25 years old at the time. Not even considered in his prime yet, the sky seemed to be the limit for Cousins. He would end the season with another All-Star nomination, another All-NBA second team appearance, and the Kings would once again miss the NBA playoffs, only finishing with 33 wins this year. Cousins would only play 65 games this year, missing time due to small injuries. As well as missing time, he would still finish with 17 technical fouls, good enough for second in the NBA this year behind Draymond Green. At this point, since Cousins has been drafted, he leads the league in technical fouls, and his locker room presence is still being questioned, as Demarcus Cousins seemingly had a huge ego at this point, considering himself an all-time great despite never playing in a playoff game. Going into 2017, Demarcus Cousins seemed to be considered the best center in the NBA and was planning on signing a contract extension with the Kings. However, that's not what the Kings had in mind. Immediately following the 2017 All-Star game, in which Cousins participated in, on February 20th, 2017, Demarcus Cousins would be traded to the New Orleans Pelicans in exchange for Buddy Hield, Tyreke Evans, Langston Galloway, and a first-round draft pick. This seemed to be the perfect opportunity for Demarcus Cousins, pairing up with Anthony Davis, a perennial all-star and top 10 player in the NBA. Cousins would only play 17 games with the Pelicans to end the 2017 season, and the Pelicans would miss the playoffs, finishing 34-48. This wasn't unexpected though, as they were already 10 games under 500 at the time of trading for Cousins. Cousins would finish the season with averages of 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. Cousins did end up making the All-Star game this season, however he was left off of the All-NBA teams despite making one the last 2 seasons. Little did he know though, Cousins would never make an All-NBA team again, despite being only 26 years old. Going into the 2018 season, expectations were high for the new star-studded frontcourt duo, and they did not disappoint. Getting near the All-Star game, the Pelicans had a 27-21 record, with both Demarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis being selected as starters for the All-Star game. Boogie was averaging 25 points and 17 rebounds and a career-high 5.4 assists a game. Everything was going as planned, and it seemed Cousins would finally get to show off in the playoffs before this happened. On January 26th, 2018, in the final 15 seconds of a tight win over the Houston Rockets, Demarcus Cousins would shoot a free throw, go for his own miss, swat the ball out of bounds, and seconds later, Cousins was on the floor clenching his ankle in pain. Following the game, it was announced Demarcus Cousins had suffered a torn left Achilles, and just 5 days later underwent season-ending surgery. The Pelicans would make the playoffs and sweep the Trailblazers in the first round before losing in 5 games to the eventual champions, the Golden State Warriors, all while Demarcus Cousins was on the bench. This offseason was interesting for Cousins. Since being traded by the Kings and not re-signing, his contract was now up. Cousins didn't get any offers he was happy with and opted to bet on himself and sign a 1-year mid-level exception contract with the championship team, the Golden State Warriors. This was seen as a weak move by many, as the Warriors had just signed Kevin Durant 2 seasons ago and have won back-to-back titles. They're now adding who many considered to be the best center in the NBA just 2 years prior. Cousins would suit up for the Warriors for the first time on January 18th, 2019, almost a full year after last playing. Boogie would finish the year playing and starting 30 games for the Warriors on limited minutes, averaging 16 points and 8 rebounds. The Warriors went storming into the 2018 playoffs as the heavy favorites, and Cousins was finally going to be able to show off his skills in the playoffs. However, that didn't happen. In just Game 2 of the first round, Demarcus Cousins would go down with a torn left quad and would be ruled out indefinitely. He would make his return several weeks later in the NBA Finals, coming off the bench. His impact though was never really noticed, as he only averaged 7 points and 4 rebounds in the playoffs, and with Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson both being injured in the finals, the Warriors would fail to three-peat and Demarcus Cousins just lost the bet on himself. After this devastating season, he would sign another one-year contract, this time with the Los Angeles Lakers for the 1920 season, pairing him back up finally with his former teammate Anthony Davis. However, he would never suit up for them. During an off-season pickup game, the now 29-year-old Demarcus Cousins would tear his left ACL and once again be out indefinitely. Going into the 2021 NBA season, Demarcus Cousins was given a shot by the Houston Rockets on another one-year deal. He would suit up for 25 games for them that season, averaging around 10 points and 8 rebounds and only 20 minutes a night. He would later be waived in February by the team and would sign for the rest of the season with the Los Angeles Clippers, playing 16 games with them to end the season. Despite his best efforts, it was obvious to anyone watching that these past 3 injuries have completely changed him as a player. A once top 2 center in the NBA now couldn't keep up the role of a backup big. His legs were completely gone and he couldn't keep up with the other players, as well as still being considered a locker room cancer. Despite this, coming into last season, the Milwaukee Bucks decided to give him a chance before just waiving him less than 2 months later after playing 17 games with them. On January 21st, 2022, Demarcus Cousins would sign with the Denver Nuggets for the remainder of the year, where he would play 14 minutes a night, averaging around 9 points and 4 rebounds a game. Despite still being a vet who could still play a few minutes a night off the bench, the Denver Nuggets decided not to re-sign Demarcus Cousins this offseason, and instead signed the worst player in the NBA, DeAndre Jordan, over him. The reasoning for this is due to Cousins' aggressive locker room presence. The team decided that Cousins' production is not worth the headache of having him in the locker room. After 13 years of being in the NBA, Demarcus Cousins still hasn't been able to adjust his attitude or handle his emotions properly, which is why he is currently not on an NBA team halfway into this 2022-2023 NBA season. A once dominant and potential all-time great, Demarcus Cousins had his career cut short due to injuries out of his control. But what he was able to control, his attitude, his reactions, and how he treated teammates, wasn't controlled at all, and is a large reason as to why he's ended up in the position that he's currently in. Now, Cousins' career might not be completely over yet, as there are some rumors about him working out with some teams currently, but the days of glory for this once great center are over. This was the rise and fall of Demarcus Cousins. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.